Okay, so this video will basically go over how I did the production for my second final major project in creative media and highlight what the process was like and hopefully offer some insight on how I created the final product. So I wanted to create an animatic for this project as it was something that I did for my first final major project, and I figured that giving it another go would not only refine my skills in that area but also identify and improve on the weaknesses of my first project. So in total, I had 15 days of production, which all basically consisted of drawing the frames for my animatic and using my pre-production work, like the storyboards, mood boards, and sketches I created to help inform the look and style of the drawings. So my animatic centers around the story of a lone samurai during feudal Japan and explores his inner emotions and conflicts through the use of visual and silent storytelling, as well as music to reinforce those ideas. I also wanted the whole thing to be black and white, akin to the old samurai movies by Akira Kurosawa. And yeah, doing that would not only pay homage to his films, but also offer a more cinematic and immersive experience for the viewer. In terms of look, I wanted my animatic to have a sketchy and hand-drawn appearance, as when I was researching existing animatics, I noticed the line work of most of them looked kind of incomplete, but in a way that actually served as a feature rather than a disadvantage, as the messy lines almost looked more stylized rather than incomplete. And that was something that really caught my eye and I knew I wanted to do for my own animatic. Okay, so now that I've established my goal for the art style, let's get into the actual production process. So the way I did this is I drew the frames in stages. So what I would do is I would find a reference image, whether that be from one of my mood boards or like a picture from Google or DeviantArt, and I would use that as reference for the drawing. With my first FMP, I used a technique where I would use the photo mode feature of the samurai video game Ghost of Tsushima, which allows you to take virtual photos in a 3D space and use those images as reference for the animatic. However, the way I did this was by taking the photo inside the video game, but then directly tracing over it when drawing the frames for the animatic. And now when it came around to doing this project, I didn't want to do that because I felt that tracing an image wasn't really challenging me in a creative, more technical way. So instead of tracing the images, I would have it off to the side and use it solely as a reference, so that I can use that in drawing things like poses or objects or characters. So yeah, I found that not to only challenge my drawing and creative skills, but also improve the quality of the images, as they looked more original and no longer looked like I just traced over an image. So after gathering the reference images from different sources, I would create a rough sketch using my digital drawing tablet so that I would create a guideline that I could follow when drawing the line art. This was good as I didn't have to jump right into the line art, which probably would have made the final drawings look a bit more messy and cluttered. So after doing the sketches, I would then do the line art and add in flat colors underneath that. Now, when adding the colors, I made sure to use my character sheet as it contained the right colors of the character that I was drawing and would maintain consistency throughout the whole project. Then finally, after adding flat colors, I would go over the drawings with highlights and shadows, and I would do this by creating a layer in Photoshop that had about 21% opacity and drawing it using either a white or black brush to give the illusion of shadow or light. This made the drawings look a bit more developed and less stale to look at, as the highlights I found brought depth and detail to the image. So after drawing the characters, I would create the backgrounds, which was quite easy as I had access to brushes that I found online that could easily draw things like leaves or bushes. And yeah, depending on what scene it was, I would then also add a Gaussian blur to the background just to give a bit of depth and to make the image look a bit more cinematic. And finally, I would create boils of the line art of each frame, which essentially meant that there would be 3 different versions of line art that switched back and forth within the final edit. I did this by just lowering the opacity of the line art that I had already created, and then creating a new layer on top of it and tracing over the lines. This made the image feel a bit more lively and less static, so that the audience wouldn't be bored just looking at one still frame of a character. And yeah, that was basically the whole production process. I didn't really come across any major problems while doing this, as I had experience with my first FMP, and I was able to learn from my prior mistakes. The only major problem that I did come across was during the beginning of production, where I was struggling to create drawings that I was happy with using the screen display drawing tablet, as it was a piece of equipment that I had never used before, since I had been using a tablet with a no screen prior to this project. But to briefly solve this problem, I started using the drawing tablet with no screen to draw the frames. But as I realized that the other piece of equipment had better technical features, I started slowly switching to the screen display, and with time got used to using it. But besides that small issue, it was just a matter of using Premiere Pro to edit all the frames together and add sound and music to them. So overall, I'm happy with the finished product, as I believe that it fulfilled its purpose of being an exploration of emotions and inner conflicts through the use of a dialogueless and colorless narrative. Although I think there could have been some areas that could have been improved, like adding more animated scenes from After Effects or refining some of the drawings, I think I did close to the best I could in terms of pushing myself technically and creatively. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you for watching.